What up, everybody? All right, hold on. Let me get the microphone up a little bit. Good morning, Vietnam. um, Today is Sunday, August 11th. Let me double check that. Yes, 11th, 2019. And right now, we want to take this time, you and I, the fans, to honor the memory of the late great Robin Williams, actor, comedian, non-singer Robin Williams, who sadly passed away 5 years ago today, August 11th, 2014. So let's revisit some of his quotes, the funny ones, the profound ones, um, and also I want to share with you some of my favorite personal favorite Robin Williams movies. Maybe I should have done a ranking video, but I did not have the time this week. um, but I want to tell you at least my. You know what? I'm not gonna do ranking. I'm just gonna tell you my favorite Robin Williams movies and why they are my favorite. And then of course we'll discuss further more about what legacy that he left behind for us. What is that? What is that legacy? How can we remember and honor Robin Williams? So let's start with um, the entertaining part, the funny quotes that he had over the years. Now remember, a lot of people forget about this. That Robin Williams was not just a Hollywood star. He was not just an actor. He was not just a screen legend. He was not just an Oscar winner. He was a comedian. As a matter of fact, I read that after he did he I think he graduated. It's not like he left, but anyway, he graduated from Juilliard. Juilliard is this fancy art school in New York that teaches you all kinds of artsy stuff, from music, from fine arts to acting and all that stuff. I visited Juilliard once. Of course, a man such as me will never be as talented enough to to enroll in Juilliard school. But if you manage to become a student there, hey, more power to you, man. That is fantastic. Um, so after he left Juilliard, he couldn't find work. Robin Williams couldn't find work, so he did what he knew how to do, which was to do stand up. So that's what he did for a number of years until he finally got a gig. I think his first movie was, oh man, that movie with John Lithgow. Let me double check that again, because he was famous on TV for Mork and Mindy. Remember that Mork and Mindy playing an alien, um, and on the spin-off as well. His first movie was the Garb. Ah, crap. Can't remember on the top of my head. The World According to Garp. There you go. The World According to Garp, co-starring John Lithgow. That was 1982. Wait, Popeye. Popeye came out first before The World According to Garp. I stand corrected. So, Popeye and then The World According to Garp were his earliest movies. And yeah, I remember watching The World According to Garp in college, I believe. It was one of the DVDs I rented off of this video store locally. Popeye, to tell you the truth, I never saw it. I still, to this day, I haven't watched the 1980 film Popeye starring Robin Williams. So I kind of missed out on that one, and I need to check it out. Um, all right, let's. So he began. He was a comedian all these number of years before he finally got his big break in acting. So a lot of people forget that the guy is funny. The guy was so inherently naturally funny. Some people, such as yours truly, for example, um, I can be funny when I try to, when I think of it a little bit, when I was like, okay, I don't think that joke could work. In my head, it might sound funny. It's like, and then so I have to like find an angle. And sometimes when I'm in a conversation with other people, and I pick up some things and I try to chime in with a punchline, and then like because it fits that very situation. It would not fit if it was any other given time. Um, so for some of us, we have to try to be funny, and sometimes we can't be funny all the time. But some people like Robin Williams, he could be funny all the time. It came natural for him. He was the kind of guy. Um, so there's some of us who are like Ben Stiller, for example. Ben Stiller kind of funny, and there are some of us in this world that are Robin Williams kind of funny. You see what I'm getting at? Um, so I saw his. I watch. I never saw him live stand up, doing live stand up. Unfortunately, I would have loved to. But I watched his Broadway. I think the year 2000 stand up comedy, like a full on movie. And man, I was just cracking up one after the next. Man, the jokes are just spot on. The jokes landed, every one of them. What a guy! What a guy! Okay, so let's go through some of Robin Williams quotes that I think are funny even to this day. They're still hilarious. Um, let's see here. Now, remember, he also went through a bunch of administrations. So he had jokes about Ronald Reagan, and he had jokes about George W. Bush. Um, but let's start with the tame one. He said, "Why do they call it rush hour when nothing moves?" That's true. Why do they call it rush hour when nothing moves? Oh, so brilliant, brilliant. Um, Here's another one. The Statue of Liberty is no longer saying, "Give me your poor, your tired, your huddled masses." She's got a baseball bat. See, I fucked that up. Let's do that again. Let's start over. The Statue of Liberty is no longer saying, "Give me your poor, your tired, your huddled masses." She's got a baseball bat and yelling, "You want a piece of me?" I'm sure, right wingers out there have a laugh at that. Um, I have an idea for a movie called The Walking Dead, which is about a town where instead of zombies, everyone becomes Christopher Walken. Get it? Walking Dead, Walken. Ah, I know. Here's the one that I posted. This is Robin Williams' joke that I posted on Twitter, and it got a bit of backlash. I think one comment says, "Wow, that's pretty sexist." But I'm like, dude, it's a freaking joke, man. Come on. You can't we gotta give leeway, or we can't be too hard on jokes. Otherwise we'd be like uppity, uptight assholes of a society. Jokes should get a pass. They're jokes. So anyway, here's one of Robin Williams' jokes. A woman would never make a nuclear bomb. They would never make a weapon that kills. No, 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 no. They would make a weapon that makes you feel bad for a while. Come on, that's funny. You gotta admit that's pretty hilarious. Uh, all right, so let's see. Oh, here's a joke about guns. Robin Williams said, "The Second Amendment says we have the right to bear arms, not to bear artillery." Amen to that, brother. See, it doesn't say we have the right to bear artillery. All these freaking assault weapons running, we're swimming in it, freaking around. Anyway, um, okay, here's a joke about George W. Bush. Robin Williams says, "Having George W. Bush giving a lecture on business ethics is like having a leper give you a facial. It just doesn't work." uh, oh, here's one of my favorites. Robin Williams joke, one of my favorite Robin Williams jokes. We had cloning in the South for years. It's called cousins. We had cloning in the South for years. It's called cousins. That is so rich. Um, Here's another one of Robin Williams' jokes. There's a show in America where all these people compete with ferrets and they don't even do anything. They basically just hold them up, and if they don't bite you, they might win. uh, love it, love it, love it, love it. Okay. Let's see. Oh, oh yeah. Here's one of my favorites as well. Ready? We had gay burglars the other night. They broke in and rearranged the furniture. Gold, gold, gold standard. Robin Williams, we miss you, man. All right. Oh, and here's my ultimate favorite Robin Williams joke. All right. Of all his jokes, this is my favorite. The one that he came up with. Never pick a fight with an ugly person. They've got nothing to lose. Yes. Yes, baby. That's amazing. Um, so let me take you back to 5 years ago. I was working as a college recruiter. So I was in my office. It was a pretty boring, tedious day, just like most days in office. Yeah, imagine me working in a tight office, but that's what I did. And I saw the news on Twitter. It was trending, and I called my friend who's also a big Robin Williams fan. I was like, "Really? Is this really happening? This can't be right. Robin Williams dead? What's going on?" Um, so it was August 11th, 2014. It was during work week, and I was like, my head space was not in my work. My headspace was like in with Robin Williams. So I was like, this can't be it. This there's no way. I was so shocked at the news of Robin Williams passing that I thought that it was just a prank or somebody pulling a joke that went trending, that went viral, a joke, that there was no way that Robin Williams could have just suddenly died. But it's one of those things that it took a while for it to sink in, for you to kind of embrace as a fact. I felt like I went through like 5 stages of grief, like mostly denial, before I finally come to terms like, oh my God, one of my heroes, one of the greats had passed away. Um, so let's go through some of his movies here. There were so many that I loved, and there were so many that I remember when I first watched them. Like for example, Awakenings. Oh, remember Awakenings with Robert De Niro? What a fantastic film! And Robin Williams played the doctor trying to heal Robert De Niro. Um, it was like one flew over the cuckoo's nest a little bit because of the facility, and Robert De Niro kind of, I guess, his character woke up from his illness and then try to taste life before that illness or that disease took over again. It was so sad and heartfelt, and it was also a nice friendship kind of movie, and Dead Poet Society. Oh, I remember when did I first watch Dead Poet Society? I believe it was, yeah, it was also college. I was in college. I believe it was summer. I was working in the summer at the dorm, and I was staying with a roommate in the dorm who had this box of VHS, all kinds of movies. Man, I mean, that's how I kind of caught on. Caught myself up with a bunch of movies that I hadn't seen before prior to that. And one of them was Dead Poet Society. And man, that moment when all the students Well, not all. I'm sorry. I'll take that back. Some of the students stood up on that desks to say, "Oh, Captain, my Captain," to honor their favorite teacher, to honor the teacher that have who had taught him or taught them something more precious beyond what was just in the classroom. It was magnanimous. Like, it was so, what's the word I'm looking for here? Um, it it, it filled your heart when when you saw them just standing there on the desks. Like, man, you as a human being, at least for me, I know that we all feel like we want to be inherently loved or appreciated. So the idea of this one person being so loved and appreciated by these group of students, I mean, like, wow, imagine that honor, because of the impact, the positive impact that he had on them. So it was there. There had been many, many movies over the years about teachers and educators or coaches too, like Coach Carter. Movies like Dangerous Minds. You can throw a lot of examples, but there's something about Dead Poet Society that was just so profound. It wasn't loud. It wasn't extravagant. It was simple, but it hit straight for the heart, and it was just so good. One of the best movies I've ever seen. And yeah, director Peter Weir, strangely enough, he hasn't made a movie in years now. The director of Dead Poet Society. So I kind of miss him making more movies. Let's see what else. Hook. Come on, he plays Peter Pan. Robin Williams played Peter Pan, the adult grown-up Peter Pan in this movie. Um, and this is also, excuse me, one of the reasons why I whenever Hollywood comes up with movies about um, an iconic character now all grown up and they have to return to their, like, for example, Tim Burton's Alice in Wonderland. Remember that Alice in Wonderland? She's all grown up, played by Mia Wasikowska, and then she had to return to Wonderland to save Wonderland. And there were some other examples of other movies like that as well. So whenever Hollywood comes up with such movies, my first thought was like, dude, this is not original. This is just Hook. This is this is like, come on, why are you trying to copy Hook? Um, I love the concept of Hook. And I believe Julia Roberts played Tinkerbell, and Dustin Hoffman played Captain Hook, and it was just so great, man. Steven Spielberg directed it. It was one of those fantasy movies that you know it was why we went. It was why we go to the movies as fans. That's what Hook was. Um, let's see, Aladdin, of course. Aladdin. Oh, I remember when Robin Williams died. Remember that Disney released um, an image of Aladdin hugging Genie, like, or Genie hugging Aladdin, vice versa. It was just so heartfelt when Disney released that image. I mean, I don't think Disney even released a full-on official statement about Robin's passing. They just released that image on Twitter and social media, and everybody just retweeted it. It went viral. It was just, I mean, Robin Williams was Genie, man. So I'm glad that Will Smith, in his portrayal of Genie in this year's live action Aladdin, he did not try to emulate Robin Williams in any way, shape, or form. It was just Will Smith as Genie. It was not Will Smith as Robin Williams. It was not Will Smith as Robin Williams' version of Genie. You see where I'm getting at? So, man, Robin Williams made that character iconic, knocked it out of the park. He never ever had a friend like me. You know what I'm saying? Doubtfire, Doubtfire. I gotta say, was not one of my favorite Robin Williams movies. I remember watching it and I did not crack up at all. A lot of people love Mrs. Doubtfire, and no offense to you guys, but it's not on my top five favorite Robin Williams movies of all time if I were to rank them. Um, it was very. I mean, I mean, I think that what makes that movie special is Robin Williams. You know that he because before Mrs. Doubtfire, there had been other movies about male characters dressed up as female. Tootsie is one of them. Dustin Hoffman. That's an example. But Robin Williams, just like in many of his gigs, he made Mrs. Doubtfire. It would not have worked if it had been any other actor as that character. So even though I was not too crazy about the movie, I understood, and I still understand why people love it. Um, Now, believe it or not, I know a lot of people hated this movie, but I actually loved Patch Adams. I love Patch Adams. I remember watching it for the first time on the plane. I don't know where I was flying at that time. Maybe to Michigan. Was I already in America? Well, I watched the movie on the plane. It was one of those in-flight entertainment, and I was like, man, this is a great film. This guy, just try to make the patients happy, and everybody was all against him for that. It was sort of like Dead Poet Society all over again, where in comes this guy who just wanted who just wanted to make a difference in kids' lives, and because his methods were unorthodox, the bureaucrats in that system, whether it's the hospital or the education system, they started to go against him and they wanted to kick him out. So I think that's what made Patch Adams resonate with me. In that it reminded me a lot of Dead Poet Society. I remember watching What Dreams May Come for the first time. It was on VHS. No, I'm sorry, DVD, not VHS. My roommate had that VHS. It was not part of his collection. What Dreams May Come was a DVD that I rented from a local video store, and it was one of the trippiest. To this day, it's still one of the trippiest, trippy movies that I've ever seen. It's sad though. It's just like one of those, um, it emotionally dragging kind of films that is just like so heavy. um, let's see. Bicentennial Man. Oh, I watched this in the theaters. Um, Also one of the many many movies of Robin Williams that aim to tug at your heartstrings. Um, and Robin Williams played this robot that just wanted to be human. It's like a Pinocchio kind of movie. And man, yes, it got you right here, man. It got you right here. Insomnia. I watched it on a DVD. Um, I think it's Christopher Nolan's movie, right? Yeah, with and then co-starring Al Pacino. Um, I I was expecting something more suspenseful, more pulse pounding. So I was a little bit disappointed on that aspect alone. But I love the performances of both Al and Robin in this film, especially Robin being the bad guy. Um, it just wasn't as I was expecting something more fast paced and pulse pounding and like more thrilling, but it was more of a slow burn thriller, if I remember correctly. Um, let's see what else. Man of the Year, not necessarily my favorite. One of my favorite movies of Robin Williams. Yeah, it was just. I love politics. I love political comedies, but that was probably one of the weakest one. Oh, I almost forgot. Freaking A. We jumped ahead. Good Morning Vietnam. Oh, it's one of his greatest masterpieces. Um, it's like, it's one of those things when the stars aligned, you know, an actor and his role. An actor is meant to play this role, is destined to play this one role. The stars align for those two. That's Good Morning Vietnam for you, with Robin Williams as the star. Um, It could not have worked. It would not have worked with any other actor playing that character, Adrian. Adrian, yeah. And man, I that scene when because much of the movie was kind of funny because of his way of presenting on the radio, but halfway through, this character Adrian realized also the cost of war, you know, and that's when it also hits you with some kind of a reality check that, hey, yes, it's all this movie is all fun and comedy, but it also reminds you that a needless war like this, there's a price for that, and unfortunately, the price is people's lives, not just our soldiers, but also the civilians. And it's one of those movies that, yes, it entertains you, but it makes you pause as well. It makes you, wow, it's like what we did over there, that was not cool, kind of like that. Goodwill Hunting, a movie that he won Oscar for. Um, I remember watching him won Oscar for this one, on the TV, of course. And when he won the Oscar, I had not watched the movie, so I watched Goodwill Hunting years after he won Oscar for that. And yeah, watching it for the first time, I was like, that scene where he kind of grabbed Matt Damon in the neck or by the throat, because he was so pissed at Matt Damon. That was like, oh, that's the Oscar winning moment right there. That's the Oscar winning face right there. That's where that's the scene in which Robin Williams locked down that Oscar victory. Um, wow, what a performance! And of course, from that point on, everybody that wants to go on a date, or every man that wants to go on a date with a lady, he would say to his friends, "Oh, I gotta go see about a, I gotta go see about a woman. I gotta go see about my lady." um, 1 hour photo. Oh, 1 hour photo is another slow burn thriller, just like Insomnia. And man, his character was so creepy. Seymour Parrish, this guy who was like kind of stalkyish a little bit because he saw people's lives through their photos. Ah, what a performance! What a film! Now, later on in his career, Robin Williams, in the 90s and late 80s, he was a leading man. Hollywood hired him to be a leading man or to play a leading role with another leading man, like Robert De Niro or with Jeff Bridges with the Fisher King. Um, but later on in his career, Robin Williams slowly, surely, Hollywood used him only as supporting role, as the dad, or as the granddad, or as the guy who came in halfway through. And Robin Williams himself, I remember reading his quote that he realized that he had come to that point in his career where he was just gonna play supporting roles, and he was okay with it. He said, like, I was a leading man for a minute, and then for another minute I was not. But I was okay with it. That's what Robin Williams said, and that's just the nature of the business, unfortunately, in Hollywood. When you hit a certain age, when you hit a certain profile, they're like, yeah, you're not gonna be able to get asses in theater seats anymore or make us box office money anymore. We're gonna cast you in the supporting role and that supporting role, and that's about it. But hey, as long as the checks get cleared, I'm sure Robin Williams was happy. Um, but he himself was aware of it. For example, the night of the museum, he played Teddy Roosevelt. He was not the leading guy. He was not the leading guy even in Happy Feet. He, he was not the leading guy in what else? Many of his movies in the 2000s and on. So, but yeah, let's get to the next one here, and then I'll close with my thoughts about his passing. I want to share with you also some. Right now, I want to share you um, many of his profound quotes. Remember, early on in this video, I shared with you many of his jokes, many of his funny quotes. But Robin Williams also shared some of his stuff, some of his quotes that if you live by them, I think you'll be fine. I think if you live by them, you'll be like, wow, this is deep, this is wise, and if I live by them, this will make me wise and profound. So here are some of them. Robin Williams said, and I quote, "You're only given a little spark of madness. You must not lose it." That is true. All of us, are born with a little spark of creativity and originality and a little bit of kookiness, a little bit of uniqueness, special. We have our skills and talents in whatever ridiculous thing it may be. Don't lose that. That's you. That's what makes you you. So Robin Williams was deep when he said that. It was so deep. You are only given a little spark of madness. You must not lose it. Here's another profound thing that he said, um, that stayed with me, after all these years. When I first encountered this quote, I was like, wow, wow, that is so deep. Oh, here it is. Robin Williams said this, and this is for reals. I got this off of brainyquote.com. "I used to think that the worst thing in life was to end up alone. The worst thing in life is to end up with people who make you feel alone." Bam. Basically, he's saying, like, hey, you know what? Turns out the worst thing in life is not to be alone, but to be with people who makes you feel alone. That's deep, man. And a lot of us have felt that way when we're in a relationship that we're not incompatible with that person, perhaps, or that person, maybe our family members, even siblings, that are too busy, checking their phones instead of asking about how we feel or how our day is. Um, so there are people out there who can make you feel alone, and it's the worst thing. It really is, because it shouldn't be that way. When they're in your presence and when you are in their presence, you're supposed to, you know make yourself like feel like you're each other's company. And so that's deep. That's so deep. And maybe that explains why he got divorced and remarried, I think 3 times, I believe. Maybe the other wives kind of made him felt alone. um but yeah, that quote, it stayed with me. It's like, wow, when I first encountered that one, I was like, wow, that is so true. That is so true. Here's the last one I want to share with you. A deep, profound quote by Robin Williams. Um, let's see here. Where did I put that? Oh, here it is. "If heaven exists, to know that there's laughter, that would be a great thing." I don't know if heaven exists for me personally, but I think for Robin Williams or people like him, heaven is a place where there has to be laughter in it. That's heaven for folks like Robin Williams. He loved making people laugh. He himself loved laughing. When other people made him laugh, it was like the greatest thing ever. So that was his heaven. Maybe my heaven is, if heaven exists, to know that there would be an In-N-Out burger. That would be a great thing. Maybe that would be my quote. So uh, yeah, that's also another deep one, in my opinion, at least. It goes to what Robin Williams was as a comedian, as a person. Uh, if you ask me, hey Rama, have you ever met Robin Williams? Unfortunately, I did not. Unfortunately, I never had that opportunity. I never had that fortune or privilege of meeting Robin Williams. I would have loved to, but never got the chance. So he's up there on my list of like actors that I regretted never having met or never having interviewed. You know, Robin Williams is up there. So I'm jealous whenever I came across my fellow press members or my fellow critics who had stories about meeting Robin Williams or interviewing Robin Williams, because man, that would have been a great experience for me. I would have loved even just to shake his hairy arms, hairy hands, because the guy's got hair all over his body, man. It's freaking a. Even the chance for that to shake his hand, it would have been amazing, amazing. But unfortunately, I never had the chance. Um, yeah, that stayed. That stays as one of my regrets, I guess. And lastly, I want to leave you with this. I know this has been a long video. Thanks for watching. Anyway, um, Robin Williams died August 11th, 2014, and the cause of his death is suicide by hanging, asphyxia due to hanging. I'm reading this, and after examination of his body, autopsy found that Robin Williams was suffering from um, Lewy body dementia, which encompasses both Parkinson's and dementia with Lewy bodies. Now, I'm not a medical doctor. I'm sorry, I don't know the specifics of that, but that sounds horrible. What it's basically saying to us is that Robin Williams was attacked by these diseases, or the combination of these diseases, Lewy body dementia, a combination of Parkinson's and dementia with Lewy bodies. And so there was no, Robin Williams in his younger years had history of cocaine addiction and alcoholism, but there was no trace of drug at all when he died. So that says to me, excuse me, that this was a man who was just so, what's the word I'm looking for here that's appropriate? He was devastated. He was devastated at the fact, knowing that he was going to deteriorate as a person. Um, and I'm speculating, of course, but I think in Robin Williams' world, like I said, remember I said the heaven is where laughter was for him. Maybe to him, the idea of like, my God, this Parkinson, this Lewy body is going to take over me, and I would not be able to do what I do best. Forget the acting, just to make my kids laugh, to make my wife laugh, to make my neighbors laugh, or to be laughing at jokes again because I get the jokes. Not to be able to do that, that's not heaven for him. That would be hell for people like Robin Williams. Um, and I also remember um, director Tony Scott. Remember director Tony Scott? Um, Top Gun, Man on Fire. Some of my favorite Denzel Washington movies were directed by Tony Scott. I think Taking of Pelham 1, 2, 3 was also. Well, anyway, Tony Scott committed suicide as well. He jumped off the bridge, Vincent Thomas Bridge, in 2012, a couple years before Robin Williams died. And autopsy found, oh, well, not autopsy, apparently Ridley Scott, his brother, another great director, he's the one that revealed to the world that Tony had been fighting a lengthy battle with cancer. I believe it was brain cancer. And so the family kept it private all this time. But apparently Tony just couldn't take it anymore. He couldn't take the idea that this cancer is gonna, you know, take over his whole personality, his whole person, his whole being as a human being. Is like it's gonna be like this. I'm gonna have to go through treatments. I'm not gonna be able to direct movies. I'm not gonna be able to do what I love. Um, so it's not our place to judge why Robin Williams and Tony Scott decided to end their lives. You know, some folks might say, "Hey, that's not fair. Why didn't you fight? You could have fought. You could have battled the disease. Give yourself, give your family, loved ones a fighting chance. Don't just like give up." But we can't judge him on that. We can't. I'm being serious. We don't know what went on in the heads of Tony Scott and Robin Williams. Um, we can't put ourselves in their shoes. At least I can't. So I can't pass that judgment on them. Um, it and I personally believe that it is it is a person's prerogative whether or not they want to choose to do that. That people have this controversy about assisted suicide, but in my opinion, is like, what would I do if I were in that position? What would I do if I'm in that if I'm in those shoes? If I was in those shoes, like, would I keep on fighting and actually feeling the pain of the treatment, and seeing myself not being me anymore, looking in the mirror and like, this is not who I am. So put yourself, imagine yourself in that, like, just a little bit, even though you can't really put yourself exactly in their shoes, like, and then maybe you can empathize a little bit, maybe you can understand a little bit. um it is sad that we, the fans, don't have Robin Williams anymore on the big screen or on TV shows or on the stage doing stand-up comics. um so I'm going to leave you with this, that if you out there, because I remember I mentioned to you that I did contemplate suicide back in college when I was hugely, went through depression. Um, if you had suicide inklings or thoughts, for whatever reason it may be, maybe you don't want to fight battles with your disease anymore, or maybe you are fighting depression like I did. um, talk to somebody. Talk to somebody. Don't go through it alone. All right, talk to your loved ones. If there's no one around, there's a hotline as well that you can call, but don't carry that burden by yourself. Whatever you choose to decide, ultimately, that's up to you. That's your choice. That's your freedom. um but just just don't carry that by yourself. That's all I'm asking. All right. um yeah, the way in which Robin Williams and Tony Scott died, it's not fair for any of us to pass judgment on them. We don't know exactly what went on in their heads when they ultimately decided to end it. Um, but what we can do as a society, as a people, is to be there for our loved ones when they go through the same thing that Robin Williams or Tony Scott did. Be there for them. Just listen. You don't even have to talk, but be there for them. And if you are in the position that Robin Williams or Tony Scott were in, find somebody that would be there for you. Talk it out with somebody, because it helps. It really does. So the legacy that Robin Williams left behind for us were so many, from the jokes, from the humor, from the movies that we love, from the quotes that he shared with us. Is just There are many, too many to pick from, too many to choose, too many to rank. But even his death left a legacy as well. So, and that was the legacy that I mentioned to you. Um, be there for someone, and if you're suffering, find somebody who would be there for you. All right, that's it. I'm gonna leave that with that. And this has been a video remembering the late great Robin Williams legacy, who passed away 5 years ago today, August 11th, 2014. We, the fans, miss you, Mr. Robin Williams. Oh, Captain, my Captain.